So hi, everybody. I thought we would just start with a little music. So welcome to this release party. So we're going to go through all the music from the album today, and we'll have a special guest appearance by Nathan Adorney, who helped me with the mixing and the artwork. And also we're going to have a virtual visit from Daya, and it should be fun. So if you're listening, the music's going to be playing at a pretty high resolution. So if you have some good headphones or earbuds or a good stereo system, that's a good way to listen. We're going to start, just go ahead and start with the first track from the album. It's a piece that I wrote for a choir every holiday season. For over 30 years. It's not happening now because of COVID, but I've conducted a choir at the holiday times, and we would sing all kinds of pieces from different, cultures and different kinds of songs. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But this was our welcome song. This was a song that we would often sing as the audience was coming into the room. And so I wrote the vocal parts for it basically over the Pachelbel canon. So the musicians would be playing this music underneath, and the choir would be singing these parts. Of course, now the choir is all Daya, so it sounds quite lovely. So anyway, enjoy this first piece. It's called Love and Joy.
Wishing
So that was Love and Joy. I get a little tear every time I hear that song. It's so beautiful hearing Daya sing. Yes, that's all Daya. I've had a couple of people ask me if do you have a choir singing on this album? And I said, no, it's just Daya. It's like, you don't have any men singing on there? Like, no, that's Daya. She's can sing pretty low. And you didn't alter it electronically to make it lower? No, she can sing pretty low. So that's one of my challenges in mixing Daya, and even writing an arrangement for her, is to know her vocal range. For every instrument and every voice, you need to kind of know what's the sweet spot, what really the range that they sound the best and they feel the most comfortable in. So Daya's got this beautiful, rich kind of alto voice that so anyway, it's a real treat for me to be able to create a whole choir out of just that one lovely voice. So we're going to hear from Daya a little later in the live cast. So, keep posted for that. So the next piece I think is very kind of representative of the whole album in a way. I mean, there's 4 incredible songs from Daya, but this next song is called Song of Olden Days, and it incorporates a lot of different melodies. And that's one of the things this whole album is about, is incorporating melodies from different religions, different holidays, different cultures. So there's a lot of music from Christmas, there's music from Passover and Hanukkah to Jewish holidays. And there's some Indian bhajans and some other little goodies thrown in here and there that are, some of them are credited, some are not. But so this piece, the Song of Olden Days, actually incorporates 7 different pieces of music all woven into it. And it was one of the fun challenges of doing this album, was to take this music from different cultures and that I've always wanted to share with people and put them into one piece of music. So anyway, I wanted this album to be something that a lot of different people and cultures could enjoy, and also that's something that can be played all year. It's got Passover is in the spring. It has Thanksgiving music from Thanksgiving, so I'm going to spread it out a little bit. So we're going to play you now Songs of Olden Days, and here it goes. So that was A Song of Olden Days. And you might have recognized some of those melodies. The kind of the basic underlying melody is a Christmas carol called Patapan. That's a really cool piece. And it also goes into an Indian bhajan called I Am in Love with You, My Lord. And there's another one called Focus. And Shalom Haverim is in there. And there's a little bit of Corelli's Christmas Concerto at the end. So anyway, if I've forgotten anything, I wanted to let you know that on my website, johnadorney.com, there's a tab for the Bells of Distant Stars, and it's got all the notes about the songs and what pieces are in there, and so you could find out all this. If I forget to say, what's in there, you'll recognize it there. So that's where all the information is, and so we've got some wonderful comments already from people, and people are tuning in from Europe, which surprised me. It's pretty late there. So the next piece is it's called Gathering Together, and it's a combination of two different pieces. One is a famous, probably the only famous song for Thanksgiving. I know in America it's a Thanksgiving song. I don't know about Canada. And that's combined with a Jewish song that's sung at Hanukkah. What? Rock of Ages?
Yeah.
And Abby's, the ones coaches me on all things Jewish. So, and it's not the same as the Christian hymn Rock of Ages. That's a different piece of music. So as a child, I remember hearing We Gathered Together and just loving that melody. And I just thought that someday I want to put that piece on something. And that's one thing about this album is it's my chance to share some of the music that I like or have enjoyed and to put my own spin on it. So this one is a little different. And also I wanted to show you that in it, in the middle section, I use the dulcimer, and this is one of one of my favorite instruments. And so you'll hear the melody. So you'll hear that in the middle part. Anyway, that's an instrument that I've used on many pieces. And so we're going to play you Gathering Together. And again, it's a little bit different take, and I like to take some liberties with the melodies. So anyway, enjoy Gathering Together. So that was Gathering Together. You see a little bit of a country vibe on that one. And got some nice chats. We have people listening in Australia, South Australia, and in Europe, as I mentioned. And somebody also mentioned dancing, and actually we were dancing when Songs of Olden Days was playing. Abby, myself, Nathan also, he's in the other room keeping an eye on the technical things, and we'll be meeting him later. This next piece is a dance, one to dance to. So believe me, I know not only, I encourage you to dance to some of these tracks because they're meant to be danced to. And this is Merrily on High. It's a piece that I had never heard. Growing up, my family sang Christmas carols on Christmas Eve around the neighborhood or whatever. And I had never heard this carol. It's not one of the religious carols. And so you don't hear it as like in church or anything like that. But when Daya told me that when I was first met her when she was seven or eight, she told me it was her favorite Christmas carol. So I checked it out, and I loved it too. And it's a little bit like sometimes people get this confused with Angels We Have Heard on High, because they both have this long Gloria section. Angels We Have Heard on High says, in excelsis Deo, Gloria in excelsis Deo, which means glory to God in the highest. And this one says, Gloria Hosanna in excelsis, which is a little bit different. Anyway, it's one of the Christmas carols that has an older feeling, like a Baroque kind of a feeling. And one of the things that I like about Baroque music is that it's got a beat. And that's one of the things about Angels We Have Heard on High and this piece, Ding Dong Merrily on High. They've got some good beats. So I like to take them and take some liberties with it. So one thing, and I told this to Daya, that this song has a very long Gloria that's longer than Angels We Have Heard on High. So it's really hard to sing it in one breath. So I have her singing the first part of it, and then midway through the song, she starts echoing, but it actually completes the whole Gloria section. So anyway, feel free to dance. No one can see you or hear you, so feel free. And this is Merrily on High. So that was Merrily on High. And we had some dancing going on in here. And I'm going to show one more video that's related to the song we just heard. Just to keep it simple, we're showing it as a video. I recorded it this morning. But there are two things about the song that I wanted to, that were fun for me, in arranging it, that I wanted to tell you about. One is, I don't know, maybe some of you have seen this. It's not the Beatles Get Back documentary, but Paul McCartney did a thing where he was in the studio with Rick Rubin, the famous producer, and they were just chatting. It was really fun to watch for me. And one of the things that they were doing was highlighting the bass parts that Paul was playing. And he really brought a whole different way of playing the bass to pop music, because he was the guitarist. They didn't have a bass player in the Beatles. They needed somebody to volunteer to play the bass. And George said, I don't want to do it. And John said, I don't want to do it. So Paul said, okay, I'll do it. So he brought a whole melodic element to playing the bass. And when I saw that, I thought, well, that's a really great thing. And so I kind of incorporated that in the bass part to this piece we just heard, where there's kind of a very normal way you can play bass, but you can also, so watching that, it's like, it's not like, I want to copy Paul McCartney, but just watching that freed me up to like, oh yeah, you can be a little bit more free with the bass. So I created this little video to show you what I'm talking about. It's just a few minutes long. And I also talk about the guitar solo that I play in there. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. This is a little a thing I wanted to show you about the bass part that I played on Merrily on High. And it was after seeing the Paul McCartney special. So here's what a normal bass part, a very traditional kind of a bass part, would sound like. It's mainly hitting with a kick drum, and it's hitting the root note of the chords. Here's the bass the way I ended up playing it. So you can see it's quite different. It's got a lot more movement. And it was a lot of fun playing that way too. The other thing I wanted to show you was that the guitar solo, which I really love the way it turned out, what I did was I wanted it to be kind of melodic and also have a kind of a chiming sound that I thought would fit with the bell-like quality of the song. So I recorded the solo and put it together how I wanted it, and it sounded like this. And then I learned that solo. Once I had it exactly as I wanted it, I played it an octave lower, exactly the same way. And then here's what they sound like together. Track, the whole thing sounds like this. So you can hear the bass and everything all together. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. I wanted to share that with you. So hopefully you got a little something out of that. I know some people ask me about things like that. So I like to show a little bit what's goes on behind the scenes or what goes actually on inside the session. I'm going to play the video now of the conversation I had with Daya about the album. And we knew that both of us knew that it was going to be hard for her to commit to being, available right between these 2 hours. So what we decided to do was record me talking with her on the phone about what it was like for her to record and sing on this album. So it was a lovely conversation, and you're going to hear it exactly as it was. It's not edited at all. So this is the conversation on the phone that I had with Daya, and I hope you enjoy it. So hi, Daya.
Hi, John.
How's everything?
Yeah, everything's good. How about you?
It's good. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm really happy to do this. Thank you.
So it's a little funny for me to be interviewing you, but I wanted to just ask you a couple questions so people could hear your side of the story about, recording the songs for this album. First of all, I got to see you when we got to record together in person. So what was it like for you just in general recording these songs?
Well, firstly, I have to say that I always love and enjoy recording with you so much. And I think we always have a great time, and the music is always so beautiful, which is a real plus. And although it's super fun, there's always just enough of a challenge to keep things interesting. Like whether it's a part that's low or high for my range, or singing in languages other than English, sometimes multiple languages, like on track 9, Dona Nobis Pacem. So yeah, it's always highly enjoyable, and getting to sing on this super special album, The Bells of Distant Stars, was one of the best for me personally. And like you said, the last 2 albums that I sang on yours were remotely. I was on the East Coast and you were in California, so it was great to be back in the same room together after such a long time. And I'm always excited when I hear from you that you've got another album in the works, because as soon as we finish recording, I'm like, okay, what's next? And then, you're so prolific, so please keep them coming.
Yes. Okay. Well, thanks. I'll have to think of some more things for us to do. So, but anyway, this was cool the way it came together, because I didn't have any music for you to sing, but then I thought, well, we do know a bunch of songs that we've both heard and know, and it would be fun to do those and then put them on a holiday album. So,
Totally.
so of all the songs we did, was there any one that it was particularly enjoyable for you, or one that was particularly difficult?
Well, honestly, I enjoyed all of them so much, and I enjoyed the whole process, hearing the rough versions with you singing the parts so I could learn them. And yeah, you do that for me, although I'm sworn not to play them for anyone else, and I haven't. I've kept that promise. But yeah, I can't say too much is difficult, because you make it so easy. It's just, so fun to be with you. And I've known you for most of my life, and I really enjoy the music, and I often get goosebumps when I'm singing the parts. So, and I absolutely love the harmonies that you craft. Each vocal part that we layer, and you patiently sit there and walk me through it, and we record it, and I can hardly wait to hear the finished product when all the voices are together. And oftentimes I find myself just listening to a certain track over and over and over, and enjoying it more and more fully each time I listen to it. So it's great. I just loved it. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and believe me, I just listened to them over and over again too. When I came back from our sessions, just to have all those vocals, it's like, oh wow, what a great way to get launched into working on this album, to be starting with all your vocals instead of putting them on at the end.
Right?
So that was a
Yeah.
real treat. And it's a challenge to have one voice singing so many times, because everybody's voice has certain frequencies and tones that can build up when they're singing like 12 or 16 parts.
Right.
So it was a challenge to get them all really sounding clear, but it was a fun challenge. It was really fun working on it.
Yeah, see, I get the easy part, you get the challenge.
Well, I don't know. I know that it is challenging for you sometimes when we're recording because sometimes you're just hearing them for the first time right then.
That's true. Yeah, it keeps
But
it interesting.
I was getting interviewed last week, and the first song the DJ was playing was "Love and Joy," and I was just hearing it through my phone. And I tell you, I was just listening to it, and I actually started, welled up with tears. Just how fortunate I am to have you to come and sing these songs for my albums. It's just such an incredible treat.
Well, win-win. So my pleasure.
So I know when you sang, a lot of the pieces were just the harpsichord that you were singing to.
Yeah.
So were there any of the tracks that you were kind of surprised when you heard the final version, or anything that particularly impressed or struck by?
Yeah, I think the answer is honestly all of them. And I just loved hearing the final versions, and I'm still loving hearing the final versions with the rest of the instruments in. And listening to the entire albums, I heard songs that I hadn't heard, as you only sent me the other ones that I was going to sing to, and then we recorded them with a very minimal structure. But each song is absolutely beautiful and special in and of itself, and I feel that each one goes way beyond the realm of the holidays, and that this really is an album for all seasons. And that said, the holidays are a great time for gift giving, and this will make a lovely gift to give to all of your friends, family members, co-workers, random strangers. You get the idea.
I actually feel the same way. It is an album that would make a great gift. I really tried to make it so that it could be appreciated in a lot of cultures and not just be what people usually associate a Christmas
Right.
album. So, any other final comments about the CD in general, or?
Well, I guess as with all of your CDs, it's beautiful. I'm kind of a loss for words, and I can't say enough. I'm just grateful and honored to have been a part of this very, very special project. So thank you, John. And thanks to all of the listeners as well. I hope that you enjoy listening as much as I've been, and as much as I enjoyed singing on it. So thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Daya, for joining us. And
My pleasure.
okay, great. Take care.
And you, John. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody. Happy holidays.
So that was our conversation, and it was really, great that Daya, joined me to do that. And so we just talked. It was just, I think, 2 days ago, and yeah, she wasn't kidding. She really is. Been writing me how much she's loving the album, and also a lot of times when I finish an album, I've heard it so many times by the time it's done that I've probably listened to the whole album at least 50 times. So just the whole thing complete. So a lot of times I don't want to listen to the album for several months. But this album, I cannot get tired of listening to it. And I think part of that is because, first of all, it's not all my melodies. And it's fun for me to be able to share music with people that I enjoy, and also to be able to interpret them in new and fun, interesting ways. If you missed the beginning, I started the whole session with a little playing the cello. I just thought of that at the last minute. I thought, I'm just going to play something at the beginning. And what I played was just the melody for this next piece, which a lot of you will recognize as one of the older, according to some circles, it is the oldest Christmas carol that's at least that's popular, that's sung. O Come Emmanuel. It's a very old melody. It was written in the 1300s, I believe, and it's a very kind of a melancholic but beautiful melody. I just think there's a lot of beauty in it, and I know a lot of people really love this melody, and I always thought it was gorgeous. And I thought that the cello was a perfect instrument to capture the song, to play and kind of capture the feeling of it, because as we know, the cello can have that cello and oboe are the two instruments that can really capture that kind of melancholic longing quality. So so I recorded it, and I took a few little liberties with the melody, but it's basically O Come Emmanuel, although I call it Come O Day Spring Bright. That's actually some of the lyrics from the second verse of the carol. And I'd like to change the titles, not just call them by their name, so that when people search them, they can find them by their own unique name, and they don't get lost in all the versions of that carol or whatever. So so I decided to, I have, you know, I have a ton of vocal music, and I had the vocal version of this piece, you know, for soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. And I thought, well, what if I just do all four parts and play them all in the cello? So that's what you're going to hear is Come O Day Spring Bright, just played by four cellos. That's the only instrumentation in the whole thing. So here you go. Enjoy. So that was Come O Day Spring Bright. And listening to it, I remembered that sometimes it's the simplest pieces can end up being very difficult. And the thing that was difficult about this one was that it wasn't a quartet all playing at the same time where they could cue each other and watch each other. So I didn't play to end. There was no rhythm or anything. I just played the melody loosely the 3 different times. And then every time I did a harmony, I had to try to play it exactly in time with what I had loosely done the first time. I had to do that for all 4 parts. And not only that, but I played each part 4 times. So there was a lot going on there. But anyway, I'm really happy the way it came out. Very beautiful. And sometimes, I get emails from people, oh, this is my favorite piece. This is my favorite piece. And one thing I've learned is that at some point, every single piece is going to be there's going to be somebody that says, that's my favorite piece. Even if somebody says, oh, I really don't like that piece, that's going to be somebody else's favorite. So it's kind of fun to hear, what people like. But I've gotten a lot of comments about, people liking that one. And I've also got a lot of comments about this next one. And this is the title track from the album, The Bells of Distant Stars. And I had a different vision of this piece when I set out to do it. I had actually originally envisioned it as something that this choir would do, where and it was based on the piece, the Carol of the Bells, the da 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 dun da 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 dun da, ring Christmas bell, da, da, da. So I had envisioned the choir doing, ring Christmas bells, ring Christmas bells, ring Christmas bells, ring Christmas bells, and then for 8 bars, different instruments would take a solo. This was my vision, so that's what I was planning to do with it. But I was going to, maybe hire some musicians or do it myself. But when I started working on the piece, it totally took a life of its own. So I just went with it because like the example I've given before, composing is like you're just sitting on the beach, running your fingers to the sand, and then all of a sudden you feel something hard and you start digging the sand away. And it's like, wow, it's like a statue under there or something. And you think, oh, it's a statue of an angel. So the wing probably goes this way. So you dig that way, but there's nothing there. And it's like, oh, that's not where it's going. And then you end up following where it really does go. And then sometimes you come up with something that you didn't expect at all. So one of the things that I liked about the Carol of the Bells was that it had this driving quality. So that was kind of like the underlying piece, the underlying element of this piece, to capture that driving quality. And you'll see it also I try to capture that in the video that I made of it. And also it starts off with a Jewish melody that's sung at Passover called Kadesh Urchatz. And it talks about the different order of the sequence of what's going to happen in the Seder, the Passover Seder. So usually it's a song, it's a little, half song that just kind of sung. But when I listened to it, I thought, what is that melody going through my head? And I realized that was the melody. And so, I played it on this high flute as the introduction. And, Abby, my wife, said, she had never thought of that melody as being so beautiful, but just hearing it like that really brought out this beautiful quality. So that's how the piece starts off. And then it's going to take us on a journey. And so here is the video that I created for The Bells of Distant Stars. So that was The Bells of Distant Stars. And you saw the credits there. It was mixing by myself and Nathan Adorney. Nathan's going to be joining us right after the next piece to talk about what it was like to, work on the mixing for the album. And, what I was saying before about how people let me know what was their favorite track, I think every single person that's written to me included that piece in there. And it's fun to listen to. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you. I mostly put the instruments here that I used on the album. We'll get to this one in a little while, but on that one, I use a rain stick. I don't know if everyone's seen a rain stick. It's the thing that's got seeds or beans or something in it that's they're weaving through these little termite channels inside the thing. And, so it sounds like rain. But one thing I like to use this for is I like to use it as a shaker. And what I'll do is I'll mic this end and I'll put another mic on this end so that I can. And so this end sounds a little bit different than this end. And you can adjust around a little bit. This end a little lighter. I can take some of the beads out of that end. So anyway, this is one of my favorite things to use this shaker, which I used in that song. And I also use, this is one of my favorite drums to use. It's a little Bolivian clay drum. And so you'll hear a little kind of blipping sound. And I'll also put one mic on this one and another mic on this one. So that when you hear it, it's like this part's on one side and then this part's on the other side. Anyway, these are just some of the little things I do, but whatever. Some people ask me about these things. Believe me, I get questions about all kinds of tiny little elements that what is that element that in that song or whatever. So or in that piece. And I love to hear your comments. So always feel free to write to me through my website. I really enjoy hearing from everybody because this virtual world, especially now with COVID, this is not quite the same as like seeing everybody in person, but it's nice to see everybody's name on the participant list and some real familiar names on there, people listening, from all around the world. So it's really nice. This next piece is it's a song. I guess you wouldn't even call it a song, although I made it into a song. It's one of the movements from Handel's Messiah. And I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. How beautiful are the feet? That's the name of the movement. And it's just got this simple lyric, how beautiful are the feet of them who bring the message of peace. And I thought, this is just a great message. And I wanted peace to be one of the underlying elements of the whole album. And even combining the different cultures musically, to me, kind of represented like, let's come together and see that we can blend together, seamlessly. And so that was part of the feeling. Now, I do have a little bit of a nit to pick with Handel, and he's unfortunately not around for me to talk to him about it. But it's this beautiful song, and but when we go to see, we usually go every year to go see the LA Master Chorale perform Handel's Messiah. They don't do this movement, and a lot of times they don't do it when it's performed. And I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces in the whole oratorio. So I even asked the conductor of the LA Master Chorale, why don't you do this piece? And he couldn't really give me a good answer. But anyway, so I got to do a version of it. And my the picking with Handel was that as the beautiful lyric, how beautiful are the feet of them who bring the message of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. That's the whole lyric. But he would end it on a minor chord. And I could never understand why, with this beautiful lyric, why doesn't the music match it? The music sounds kind of down, it's to end on a minor chord, just to me didn't fit. So for those of you who know this piece, be prepared. It's a little bit different. And I even took the liberty to add my own section of it at the end. So I was able to change it. The timing of the phrase is a little different, and I was able to put the major chords where I felt they should be. And then again, like I said, I added a little ending on the piece that it just naturally came when I got to the end of the piece. So Peach's Beautiful Oboe by Shin Jameson, playing the oboe there. And so this is The Beautiful Message of Peace, featuring Daya. So enjoy.
Beautiful are the feet of them who bring the message of peace. How beautiful are the feet. How beautiful are the feet of them who bring the message of peace. How beautiful are the feet of them who bring the message of peace. How beautiful are the feet. How beautiful are the feet of them who bring the message of peace. How beautiful are the feet of them who bring the
Ah, yes, the beautiful message of peace. And one of the things I think when I hear that lyric is, you know, that's what I like, that it just says the feet of them who bring the message of peace. I just imagine, you know, the walking, whether it's Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Jesus or any, you know, the saints, but anybody, any of us that are bringing the message of peace, you know, how beautiful are those feet that are doing that footwork, so to speak. I know I had, wait a second, I'm getting a message. Nathan's limo was pulling up. Okay. So, yeah, so we just got word that Nathan has just arrived, and give him a second to come out of his limo. But anyway, I know it's we didn't want to do it sooner because we thought if we do show Nathan sooner, then everyone will just leave right after that. But so anyway, I wanted to introduce my son Nathan to join us. Get him on the camera here.
There we go.
And so this is Nathan. And it was really, Nathan was a really big part of this album in a very short period of time, because, you know, once I had recorded, once I had knew I was going to record Daya's vocals, then I thought, well, this is going to be a holiday album. So now I've got to, you know, get it done. I've got to, you know, so then I just worked on it from, you know, June or July or whatever, started working on it. And then you've got these deadlines for a holiday album. You can't like just release it whenever you want. You have to get it out. I was told you have to get it done by October. So when it gets down to the wire and you have to do the mastering and come up with the artwork and the titles, it was a pretty stressful time for me. So Nathan is a producer in his own right, music producer. And he came in and, well, I'll let you tell him about my hearing and,
Sure.
And you know, about you coming in.
Yeah, so do I call you John or Dad?
Say my dad.
My dad called me because so his hearing's deteriorated a little bit recently, but it's really in just specific, you know, frequency. So really high pitched things. It's a little difficult for him to make them out.
Don't know the story.
Yeah. So when he was recording vocals with Daya, and they were recording Dona Nobis, he really thought that she was saying Dona Nobi with no S on it. So he had her record one with like really, really intensely pronounced S's so that he could hear it. And then he showed me both of them, and it sounded completely normal. And then the one with the loud S's was very overbearing. But so for making the music, obviously that hearing range isn't as important. When it comes to mixing and making it sound really clean, you really do need to have a pretty accurate reading of those frequencies, which I do. But I also have some experience mixing. So I was able to kind of fill that hole that he had in his hearing as like a second set of ears in the studio.
Yeah, so not only that, but the yeah, like Nathan was just saying, that having the second set of ears was, you know, because Nathan's got a good ear for music. So having that, it's like, oh, Daya's voice is a little bit this or whatever. So he really helped mix the whole thing. And I've gotten a lot of comments already about just how beautifully the album is mixed. And I think it's a little bit more difficult also when you've got such a variety of different arrangements. You've got this thing with Daya singing sometimes literally 16 parts at the same time. And you can tell them about the love and joy, the wishing. And
oh yeah, so there's yeah, I think overall, I think one of the biggest challenges was there's so much variety in terms of the music, but also just the actual sounds. I mean, there's one song that's just for cellos. There's songs that have Daya, there's songs that don't. But there's parts where we have, you know, 4 layers of Daya singing each part with so there's like 4 singing the melody, 4 singing the harmony, 4 singing one echo, 4 singing a different melody. So for example, Dona Nobis, there's a part where she's singing the Dona Nobis. Then there's like an echo harmony. Then there's also vocals singing Shalom and Salam. And there's all these different layers of her. And so to make all of it clear, but not overwhelm the ear, because when you're listening, you don't want to be able to hear every single syllable of every word when there's 5 words being said at the same time. So that was a fun challenge to kind of tackle.
Yeah. So and also Nathan had a pair of headphones that I really liked when he let me try them, and so I went and bought the same set of headphones so that when we were listening to the album on headphones, we were both hearing it exactly the same way, it ended up being really good. These are Audio Technica, and what are they, Nathan?
The ATH M50 or something. Another like MX.
Anyway,
Who knows?
so anyway, they are $150 headphones. So, but I thought it was worth it for us to be able to hear it exactly the same way. And also Nathan helped a lot with the artwork because it all happened very fast at the end. In fact, I was going to call the album, originally going to call it Love and Joy. And so we had even had a different artwork. I'll show it to you here. So this was what the artwork was going to look like, with a dancer dancing like that. Some of Moira Theed's little kaleidoscope images buried in the sky that you saw in the Love and Joy video. Anyway, so the album is going to be called Love and Joy, and then I found the dove image, and I thought that was better. I like that better. So then the next morning, this was the morning when I was sending the master recording, and then I thought, wait a second, The Bells of Distant Stars is such a cool title. I had just come up with it the night before. And I thought, let's call it the album, The Bells of Distant Stars. So I had these images, the dove and the sky and the green things at the bottom and the candle, and Nathan on his phone while we were mixing. You can go ahead and explain.
Yeah, so while we were mixing and we're listening through all the songs, I have this it's like a free phone app called Baz Art that I've just used so much that I kind of have a pretty good handle on it. But even though it was on the phone, because he'd sent me such high resolution images, the actual resolution was perfectly good. So I'm like, when I'm trying to put the dove in the middle, I have to erase the background with my finger on my little, like 3-inch diameter phone. So it was kind of difficult, but it ended up working out really well. And I think the composition, we ended up moving things around a little bit. But when we worked with Rakshana, who does the majority of my dad's album covers, she surprisingly didn't have to do that much to it in the end. But that was definitely a fun thing to contribute.
Yeah, so that was great. So Nathan really saved the day for me at the end, because finishing music is one thing, but when you have to come up with the song titles, the track titles, the artwork, all the liner notes, everything, it could be a little bit much at the end. So that was so anyway, thanks for joining us, Nathan. That was really
pleasure.
Hey, it was nice to meet you finally.
Yeah,
really, all these years. I knew you were my son, but they wouldn't let me see you. They kept you in the other room. Anyway, he was locked in the other room during COVID because he had COVID. But okay, well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
And so we're going to now go on to The Dance Beckons. This is another one that, as the title suggests, a good one for dancing. And it's a mixture mostly of 2 pieces. They're both Jewish tunes. One is called Samaritik, and the other one is called Daya, which is sung at Passover. And there's a couple other little goodies hidden in this piece I had a lot of fun with it. In fact, Nathan and I put some in right at the last minute when we were doing the final mixes. I found another piece I could stick in there. But those are just kind of like little Easter eggs, as they're called in movies, for you to find and discover. We'll see if anybody can find them. And also there's a piece that my son Adam turned me on to that's in there. And and I wanted to make sure, one of the things I have to do when I'm using these pieces is to make sure that they're all public domain, because I don't want to get involved in getting somebody's permission or paying somebody, royalties for using their piece of music. So I contacted Mel. He's a member of a group called Meshuggah Beach Party. They do Jewish music that's played instrumentally like a surf rock with a with this twangy guitars, and like the Ventures playing Jewish melodies. And Mel got back to me because I'd seen it on their album, and he said, yes, as far as I know, Zimaratik is public domain, because sometimes it's hard to find out with these traditional melodies who just is listed as the writer, but they're really just a arranger or whatever. So anyway, so it's a really cool piece of music, and we'll go ahead and play you The Dance Beckons, and then afterwards I'm going to show you a couple of the instruments I used in it. So here we go with The Dance Beckons. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Now we were all dancing in here, so uh, I've got a couple of questions. One was who did the video for the Bells of Distant Stars, and that was a video that I did. I do all my videos. It's just something that I kind of enjoy, and I like to try to capture the music. They're always abstract because I don't like literal representations of anything that has to do with the title or anything, usually, although this one's got a lot of stars in it. But so that was fun because I started incorporating video rather than stills. And the first video, Love and Joy, used a lot of these beautiful kaleidoscope photos by one of our Canadian friends, Moira Theed, and so I thought they were really beautiful for that video as well. So another question was, somebody had asked me who played drums on this track, and I didn't play the drums, but I played the drums on the keyboard. And it's a little challenge sometimes to when you're wanting drums to sound real, to play them in a way that a drummer would play them. So that's, it's kind of fun to do that. And I think, yeah, so Daya does all the singing. I played all the instruments except for the oboe on 2 of the tracks. And okay, so there's another instrument, 2 instruments I used on that piece. One is an instrument I've had for a while, but I've never had the chance to use it. It's called a baglama. It's a Middle Eastern instrument. It's also known sometimes as a saz or saz, S-A-Z. And it's got that great, kind of that cool kind of Middle Eastern sound that's needed. And then at the end of this piece, I'm going to turn the camera a little bit so you can see. This is called a metallophone. It's kind of a child version or a school, elementary school, or school version of a vibes, with metal bars. And of course, usually you would play it with mallets. But what I did toward the end of that piece was played it with my fingernails, and it's a lot of fun. I thought I got to do that sometime on a recording, and that this piece was a perfect chance to do that. So I had a lot of fun with that. And so we're gonna move on now to Dona Nobis Pacem, which is a famous round. I mean, yes, of course, there's 3 blind mice or whatever, but that not that kind of round, but like a more classic round. It's the words Dona Nobis Pacem means grant us peace, and Daya sings it just beautifully. And I think, if Daya has sung, I think the CD of mine that she sang the most on was Waiting for the Moon. But I think this album has even more of Daya than that album does. And also she's recorded more intimately. So you can really hear her voice, the beauty that comes through her voice when she sings, which is a reflection of the beautiful person that she is. And I think in another way, this piece, Dona Nobis, the way we did it, is also kind of a representative of the whole album, because it's about the message of peace. And then later on in the track, so anyway, it's a 3-part round, but you'll hear Daya singing all 3 of the parts. And then I wrote some harmonies that we put on there. And then toward the end, you'll hear Daya singing Shalom, peace in Hebrew. Salam is peace in Arabic. Shanti, which is peace in Hindi. And were there any other languages? No. So we got Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, and Hindi. So it's just representing that every culture has a word for peace, and we really wanted to make this this album something for, really representing, everyone, not just Christmas, or not just Hanukkah or whatever. And that's why also if there are lyrics, I only include lyrics that are not, don't have the religious elements that a lot of the verses have. So it's really something that you can enjoy in a Christian household, or a Jewish household, or if you're Indian, or if you're religious, or you're non-religious. Hopefully there's something that can be enjoyed by everybody. So we're going to play Dona Nobis Pacem for you, and you'll get to hear Daya's beautiful rendition of it. And so here it goes.
Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis 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 pacem.
So that was Dona Nobis Pacem. The next piece is called A Most Magical Night. I've got two more pieces to play for you. This one's called A Most Magical Night. And it was a piece, this is an instrumental version of a piece that I wrote for the choir, the holiday choir that I directed. And basically just saying that, you know, the message is that we're all here tonight. This is the magical night. So it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, what the date is or what the holiday is or anything. It's that we're all together and we're with the people that we love, and it's a special night. So enjoy this. This is one that I got to play all the parts on recorders. So it was kind of a fun challenge for me. So here we go. So that was A Most Magical Night. And I think this is the most magical night. It's really fun doing this and seeing all your wonderful comments. And most of the information, the program notes that describes all the music is on my website. and all the videos that you watched for Love and Joy and for the Bells of Distant Stars. That's also on my website, and any information there. Also, I love to hear from people, so don't feel shy to write to me. I'd love to hear from you, your comments or questions. And if you're interested, I send out a monthly email, a free monthly email I call Music Notes, and it talks about the latest things that I'm working on or what's happening, and different articles I've put together about different aspects of working in music or working music therapy. So again, don't be shy, and I want to thank my wife Abby for helping me put this all together. She was key, essential. And I want to thank Daya for participating in that wonderful interview or conversation that we recorded for this event. And just thank all of the people who were part of the crowdfunding campaign to make this album possible. And that's the only way these albums can happen, is through crowdfunding. That's just the way it is. So thank you to all those people who have participated in that. You really helped make this whole thing possible. So thank you all again for tuning in, and happy Hanukkah. It's the 7th night of Hanukkah tonight, and have wonderful holidays, and thanks for tuning in. And again, we're going to end with I'm going to say my goodbye now, so we're just going to end it with some music. This is a piece called The Silent Princess. And that phrase was from a German writer named Heinrich Heine, who I always get confused with Hermann Hesse. So anyway, Heinrich Heine is my son Adam did a thesis on translating a piece of Heinrich Heine's writing. And I just thought he was just really fun. So we did it. When did we do that for
Rosh Hashanah?
Rosh Hashanah, we did a thing where my two sons who speak German read the German thing. It was a whole poem, a long poem that Heinrich Heine wrote about the Sabbath. And and he refers to the Sabbath as the Silent Princess. So my sons would take turns reading the German, and then the rest of us would read the verses in English. Anyway, it was he's got a good sense of humor. And so thank you, Adam, for turning us onto that. And so thanks again for coming. And we're going to end here with The Silent Princess. Enjoy.